You just abandon any precaution. You know, folks, something could happen. You know, and if it does, so what?
Hey friends, welcome to Nathan for Us, a Nathan Fielder fan podcast. My name is Kelly.
And hi, I'm Megan.
If anyone has any idea how to not be so awkward during the intro to our theme song for the YouTube version of the video, please give us some suggestions. But we are back again this week to talk about The Curse, episode 3. This episode is called Questa Lane.
Well, I think most YouTube channels don't have intro music, or if they do, they also have a screen with stuff happening on it. Like, because we just had a podcast for years, we haven't needed there to be visuals to go with our intro music. So now it's just us, which is a nightmare.
Oh boy, we're really doing our best with the video version. If you haven't checked it out on YouTube, please hit subscribe so that we look a little less sad over there.
Yeah, please. We know there's a lot of you listening on Spotify and Apple Music. It just hasn't translated at all yet.
Which is okay. Like, continue listening wherever you want to. Like,
Yeah.
You don't need to see our faces. Frankly, like, maybe it's better if you don't.
Although we have had people tell us that they can now tell the difference of who's speaking because of this. So if you want to know who's who, because for whatever reason we sound identical to you, this is how you can tell us apart.
Yeah, it's a pro tip. So Meg, we actually have some old business before we get into the meat of this episode of The Curse.
The very new and relevant episode of The Curse, our new
Yes.
our new business, episode 3 of the newest, most happening pulp culture 2025 show.
A show that when it came out made absolutely zero noise, seemingly nobody cared about. But a show that people did love is what we're going to talk about for a couple minutes here. So let's kick it off. I'll play this voicemail from our listener, Kim, and see what she had to say.
Hi, guys. It's Kim again. This isn't really about The Curse because I never watched it. I will never watch it. I'm hearing every detail through you guys. That's just fine with me. But I'm just talking about the Emmys where Nathan just popped up a few times and then he didn't win. It was very sad. So just wondering if you guys saw him, and I really hoped he was going to win. All right, bye.
Yes, thank you so much for calling in, Kim. I'm glad that we can recap The Curse for you.
I would love to know more details on why it's a never gonna happen situation. Like, too spooky? Do you really hate one of the actors? Is it a protest of having to get Paramount Plus? What is the hold up?
I agree. I was going to say it hasn't even been that spooky yet, which like I think we were both expecting it to be a little more scary.
Yeah, but also if anyone says we describe things too much, this is why. Our girl Kim needs us.
Yes, we have to recap.
We have to recap.
So I personally didn't watch the Emmys. I actually normally do, but this year I happened to be camping. Did you watch any of the Emmys or see any random clips or anything like that?
I didn't watch it, but I watched a few clips of Nathan. He looked great in a suit. That was about it, because unfortunately he didn't win, which we can chat about who he was up against and who ultimately won and who is our new enemy. But I didn't watch like the Emmys. You normally are like the award show watcher.
Yeah, I do like watching the Emmys usually. I normally watch the Golden Globes and the Oscars as well, but yeah, I just happened to not be in town this time, so it didn't work out. But let's chat about one of the categories Nathan was up for, which was the Emmy Award for Outstanding Writing in a Comedy Series. So the Rehearsal was obviously nominated for the episode Pilot's Code, which obviously fantastic episode. How could we forget? Sully and Bring Me to Life, forever changed in my mind.
Yeah, everyone was like giant puppet squirting milk at a flailing Nathan Fielder. They're like, yes, give that man an Emmy.
Yeah.
Or I guess don't.
Yeah, unfortunately. So the other shows that were up were What We Do in the Shadows, the episode called The Finale, Somebody Somewhere, the episode called AGG, Hacks, the episode called A Slippery Slope, and Abbott Elementary's Back to School. And then the winner was The Studio, and the episode was The Promotion, which is actually the pilot slash like series premiere. But I do think it's funny that the another Canadian from Vancouver won the award, which is Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, his writing partner, won together with a couple other people for The Studio. So we had some Canadian on Canadian crime here with Seth Rogen taking the Emmy away from our boy.
I'm going to do a quick cat introduction because Arrow was yelling. This is Arrow. She is Mars's sister, and she's a big lump, and she just kind of, exists around and was yelling at me under the chair. So hopefully she's quiet for the rest of the pod. But for anyone wondering, this is my second cat. There's a third one that maybe you'll see sometime. Back
you haven't
to
watched
shit talking Seth Rogen. How dare you? You've won 4. That was too many. You could have given one up.
Yeah, he won. I think The Studio won like
All of
13
them.
Emmys or something.
I saw a clip of him with 4 Emmys, and someone was saying, "What are you going to do with all of them?" And one of his co-stars, I think, told him to turn one of them into a bong that he seemed enthused about.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I talked about The Studio on this podcast
multiple times. Yeah.
And I did really enjoy it. Like, it was a very fun show. I think the premiere called The Promotion was a great episode. Do I think the writing was better than Pilot's Code? Probably not. I mean, I guess I'm not an Emmy voter. I'm just a person with a podcast who's obsessed with Nathan Fielder.
The scandal, if you said that The Studio, you preferred the writing, would be crazy.
I will say,
simply shouldn't be.
I also love the show Hacks, which was also nominated. I haven't caught up on this latest season, so like I can't speak to A Slippery Slope, but like Hacks is incredibly funny. If anyone hasn't checked that show out, it is truly one of the funniest shows I've ever seen. So, I would have preferred if the Rehearsal lost to Hacks in this case.
My mom periodically tells me I have to watch Hacks, and then, which I haven't seen, but What We Do in the Shadows is one of my favorite shows. I think it's fantastic. I think everyone should watch it. It's filmed in Toronto, so very exciting stuff. I think that show is like, I don't know which episode was nominated specifically against Pilot's Code, but they had some good competition at the very least.
Yeah, and then the other award he was nominated for was Outstanding Directing for a Comedy Series, again for Pilot's Code. He was up against Mid-Century Modern episode Here's to You, Mrs. Schneiderman. I'm not familiar with this show at all. Again, Hacks, A Slippery Slope, and The Bear, and the episode was Napkins, directed by Ayo Edebiri, which like I think people really liked. I didn't watch that season of The Bear because I don't know if it's a hot take, but like I thought The Bear kind of got very boring. So I stopped watching it.
And like I'm whispering, I'm like, I also stopped watching it.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a whole thing about how it was nominated for a bunch of comedy categories, and everyone's like, but this show isn't a category or isn't a comedy at all.
Yeah. I mean, you can go listen to a different awards-based podcast to figure out the scandals with all of the different people putting things in the wrong category. But the studio also won this award for the episode The Oneer. I will say this episode is very incredible. I do understand exactly why it won. So for anyone who isn't familiar with the studio at all, it is essentially this satirical show about like a Hollywood movie studio starring Seth Rogen. And each episode is kind of like in a different style. And the second episode, called The Oneer, is all based around the fact that they're trying to shoot a oneer, which is like one shot scene for a particular movie that they're trying to shoot with the studio, but the whole episode is also a one shot, so it's like incredibly insane that they pulled this off. It's totally seamless. It looks wildly impressive. So I do understand why this episode would have won.
Fair. I haven't seen it. I haven't
Not
seen
me
it, but
defending this, but yeah, the Canadian on Canadian crime is tough to swallow. Like,
yeah.
but it is what it is. Okay, and then more rehearsal related news. So do you want to set up this set of voicemails we got from our boy Colin, the pilot, not my husband?
Sure. Yeah, so there has been some movement in the aviation world as far as like pilot mental health goes. And so I thought, who better to explain it to us than our favorite pilot, Colin? And so he luckily sent in voicemails about it. So I'm excited to listen to it and hear about it from his perspective. I haven't looked into it too much because I knew that we were going to hear his explanation and his update on it together.
Yes, and like random other thing that happened this week, but there was a plane crash in my neighborhood. Totally random. Last night a friend texted me and was like, "Hey, do you live near this track?" And I was like, "Yes." And then sent me an article, and a small plane crashed on a track in Toronto. Everyone was okay, which is amazing, but apparently like an engine failed in this tiny prop plane and it crashed.
So spooky if you're just walking by as well.
Yeah, and like there were like kids playing soccer on the field.
That'll be like, because no one got hurt and everything, I mean, other than the plane being damaged, but like because everyone was okay, like what a fun story for the kids for the rest of their lives, like to be playing soccer and a plane crashes really close to them. Like that's pretty fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the fact that everyone's okay makes it like way more interesting.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would just be sad and tragic, and I would never be able to go to that track again without being upset. So it's much better this way. Okay, let's hear from our pal Colin.
Hey, Megan and Kelly, it's Colin again. I'm calling in for the first time on your show here since our episode a few months ago. So I heard you wanted to get thoughts from an actual pilot on the new HR 2591, also known as the Mental Health and Aviation Act of 2025. So I wanted to come on here and see if I could help you reach out to your listeners and maybe help explain what it is, why it's been worked on for years now, and what they should do if we can get their help to get it past the Senate. So starting out, what it really requires, it's requiring the FAA to review and revise regulations within 2 years of implementation to encourage individuals to seek help for mental health related conditions. So what that means is that it's going to revamp the current regulations, bring them hopefully back into the 21st century, and just get it into a better place for pilots, whether they're professional or recreational.
So we'll continue listening to what Colin has to say, but I do think definitely an interesting thing for us to discuss a little bit here. Famously, we are not aviation experts, despite the fact that we have been talking about this for a while now.
I think I might actually go and take like a first time lesson just to give myself a tiny bit, an ounce of credibility.
You can be the one with the credentials about this because
the non-existent ones, but I live on a lake that has an airport on it, so these like little water planes are always coming and going. So, and there's like a little spot that I could go to, and especially after our conversation with Colin, who was like really encouraging about it, and of course like loves aviation and flying, and so it's exciting to hear from him.
Yeah, if anyone hasn't gone back and listened to our interview with Colin, definitely recommend that for any rehearsal fans. He was really awesome to talk to. But we'll continue playing. There's a whole bunch of voicemails here, so this will be a bit of info for everybody.
So in addition to just revamping the general regulations to bring them into the current century, it's going to review or require an annual review of the special issuance process, which means it's see what's working, what's not, and if things can be changed. So, and helping with that, it's including funding to train more aviation medical examiners, including psychiatric providers, to give them more coverage in the system and to just help out pilots, because I know from several examples that people have to occasionally travel several states away or even across the country to find a medical examiner that is trained in psychiatric care that can help them with the special issuance process. And then hopefully give more leeway to the medical examiners to make a determination on site rather than have to send it to the FAA and wait months to years, because there are some people, if they know they have a condition that will require special issuance, they bring everything they need to provide to the appointment with them, and even if it's all good, they've been signed off by an appropriate provider, they still need to send it to the FAA for some reason.
The medical process being wonky and bad. I never.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people what they're talking about. This was a big part of the rehearsal season too, right? Is about
Yeah.
how pilots aren't getting the medical support that they need, and about how, how foolish it is for some pilots to go and get any concerns that they have like labeled with a medical title, because they could get their license taken away. And so having things changed, and a lot of people are crediting the rehearsal with this progress that is being made, and Nathan Fielder specifically with it. It's incredible to actually be here live in time, seeing bills getting passed and worked on. And so getting this update has been really great.
So some benefits that it will bring to the industry: reduce stigma for mental health care, because everyone knows that in this industry, your entire job is tied to that piece of paper. So if you can't get care when you need it, then you're going to be reluctant to even talk about it. Like I mentioned, the potential increase in capacity to reduce wait times. I've got a friend that had to get special issuance several years ago, was on the wait list for I think about 18 months, hadn't heard anything, and finally ended up getting connected with the president of one of the aviation organizations. They do a lot of advocacy for pilots, and they went straight to the FAA and managed to get her a medical within a week of being connected with each other. So hopefully this will increase or reduce the wait times and increase the capacity for people that need this type of care. Now, how you guys can help. I don't know how many of your listeners are in the aviation industry. If you are, reach out not only to your, this is for everyone, reach out to your senator's call or email and tell them that you support the passing of HR 2591, the Mental Health in Aviation Act. And make sure you emphasize it supports safety of not only aviation safety, but the general public, because, I mean, you look up, you see dozens of airplanes every day. Build that public awareness. You can reach out, you can have conversations with non-aviation mental health advocacy groups. You can reach out to aviation-specific ones if you're in the industry. Almost all the unions will have some sort of mental health-related program. Make sure they're supporting it and are reaching out. Every aviation union has a lobbying side, so make sure they're out there supporting it. And then if you're interested in learning more about the bill itself, obviously you can go look it up on congress.gov and read the actual bill. Or you can, the pilot mental health campaign is really who has been spearheading this bill. They've been in Congress seemingly every month, actually talking to lawmakers and industry experts to get this thing worked out. they've been doing that for over 500 days. So they put in a lot of work.
Wow.
PMHC.org is their website. You can go share your story, see the studies that are involved, see events that they're doing. If you choose to donate, you can do that. And then one of the biggest things here is that they have a drafted letter that you can just email your senators and representatives to, or make them aware that you support the Mental Health and Aviation Act. So I hope that helped explain what it was, give you some action items to take a look into and explore more. Keep up the great work, guys. It's a great show as always.
Thank you, Colin, for calling in. Lots of interesting information there. I mean, we definitely support reaching out to your senators to try and support this bill. I feel like this is not a controversial take at all to want to support pilots having better mental health supports and just able to get the care that they need to do their job, especially when it's such an important job in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And for anyone who doesn't remember, Colin was on the rehearsal. He was one of the main characters in an episode. We got to follow his dating life a little bit, but kind of since then, he's come on our show and he's been such an incredible resource in helping us to learn more about the aviation industry, pilots, any questions we've ever had. He's just such a wonderful human being. And so thank you so much for taking the time to give us all the information, and hopefully everybody now knows a little bit more about it.
Yes, and we have one more old business voicemail to talk about. This is one that's actually talking about our episode last week from The Curse. So let's hear what Jay has to say about Dougie and his date.
Hey, I'm Jay from Germany. I wanted to talk about Dougie's date in the second episode. I think Dougie is deeply traumatized and deeply broken. I think when someone very close to you dies in an accident, it's extremely common to blame yourself, even if you had nothing to do with it. But Dougie, maybe did share some responsibility, so it's understandable that he would have this obsession and this compulsion. And I think it isn't like a compulsion. He consciously or subconsciously, he keeps reenacting his wife's death in a way. He gets drunk, a little bit drunk, close to the limit. That's why he has the breathalyzer to sort of check the limit. And then he gets someone else in the car with him. And I think it's his way of assuaging his guilt. He's thinking, if I blow close to the limit and I'm able to still drive completely safely with someone I care for in the car, then that must mean then that when I was driving with my wife, I was actually driving completely safely, and being slightly over the limit didn't impair me. And the accident is, and ultimately my wife's death was not my fault. So that's, I think, the reason why he does that.
Yeah, I feel like we talked about Dougie's date a little bit, but we didn't really discuss this as being the potential reason, kind of him wanting to prove to himself or having some kind of compulsion that he needs to prove that it wasn't his fault that his wife died. So I thought that was a very interesting take on Dougie's date.
Yeah, a really good perspective. Thanks so much for the voicemail, Jay. And it really helped me think about it from a new perspective. I think that it definitely makes sense, because I think even when we were talking about that part of the episode, I was really emphasizing, why would you ever put yourself in that situation again? Why wouldn't you do the breathalyzer? Why would you even go near your car? None of that makes sense. But Jay's perspective of proving to yourself that it wasn't your fault, I can totally see that being the reason that he's putting himself in this position and trying to prove to himself that he's not the cause of his wife passing away. So that's a really cool perspective.
Yeah, and we'll get into Dougie a bit later in this episode. I feel like he is becoming almost like the most interesting character to me, just because I think that we have gotten so much about Asher and Whitney. I think we kind of have a pretty good idea of their personalities and just their kind of character overall versus Dougie. I think there's still a lot of mystery there in terms of, he just is so lonely. And obviously part of that is because of him losing his wife, I'm sure. But there has to be something else there. The fact that he's still in New Mexico, seemingly so wanting to be connected to Asher. I don't know. There's just a lot there. So I'm interested to see how much more we learn about him in the coming episodes too.
Yeah, absolutely. We know that they used to, or that they're older friends, so maybe he is one of his only friends left. So it would be interesting to see what happens next episode if we are able to get some more insight on him. It's also I'm also interested to see, are you spying on Asher? Are you trying to do a gotcha? Are you still trying to make them into a reality show? Like, what parts of you are genuine? Like, when he was saying he wants to hang out with Asher this episode, it did feel really genuine. So we'll see how that goes. But maybe we can start at the beginning of the episode and we'll kind of work our way down to that.
Yes. Yeah. We'll come back to what happens with Dougie.
Thank you so much, everyone, for calling and leaving the voice messages. Please leave us more. We love to hear them. We love to hear your voices and hear from where in the world you're messaging us or calling us from. So if you have any more comments about episode 3, leave us a voicemail. Or for next week, if you have any comments or questions, just thoughts about episode 4, send those in as well.
Yeah, I'll put the link in the description again as well for anyone who wants to do that. And we usually post on our Instagram a couple days before we record. Okay, so yeah, we do open up this episode. Again, this is Questa Lane. And we see Asher. He's in his car and he's counting a big pile of cash and putting it into a backpack. It's giving kind of drug deal vibes. But then we learn he is not doing a drug deal. He's going to bid on a property that is called Questa Lane. It seems like it's not the most desirable property based on some context clues from people talking about it. And the bidding starts at $25,000. Asher goes back and forth with some other people in the room and then ends up bidding $62,500 to win the auction.
Yeah, what I really loved and felt like we learned from this scene is that Asher frequently goes to these auctions. He seems very friendly with some of the people there. He's joking with a woman when he walks in, like, oh, you're not going to bid on this one. It's a tear down. Like, you don't like properties like that. He jokes that like the vultures are coming and points to a woman who starts flailing her arms saying like, caw, caw. And then when he wins the auction, he turns to that woman who's sitting behind him and like they kind of acknowledge that he was able to get the property. So he seems very familiar with the people who are going to these auctions. We know that they're buying up properties in the area with the hopes that their show helps the area take off and it gets really popular and they're able to cash in on this investment. But I thought it was a very funny scene because of the interactions he has with the other people at the auction.
Yeah, we kind of learn a bit more about the property as well when we talk to Whitney. She was under the impression that they were only going to be bidding up to $40,000, and Asher obviously went over that by, quite a bit in terms of the total price. We kind of see like some pictures, and we learned earlier that it has no water title, so like it seems like maybe the water's unsafe to drink. And while they're discussing all of this stuff, we see them watching a test screening audience that's reacting to their TV show Flipanthropy's pilot episode, the one that they had filmed with Dougie.
Yeah, and it's a little rough. The people are not loving Asher as a whole. So they seem to decently like Whitney, but they think that he is a bad sidekick who's unfunny, zero personality. And if you're going to be a sidekick, you have to be funny or good looking. And apparently Asher is neither to these people.
How do we think about that as a gauge? You either are funny or you're hot. You have to be one or the other.
I don't think it's you have to be one or the other, but you have to at least be one. Like
yeah,
if you're going to be
something.
if you're going to be the sidekick on a show, if you're going to be this TV personality, you have to bring something to the table. And they're saying like look, if you're not going to be funny, I at least want to ogle you as you flip houses. But they don't seem to think he's hot or funny, which is sad.
I think this is very true though for like most of the HGTV shows. Like coming to think about,
Definitely.
almost all of them either have like two hot people or one hot, one funny. But like I think the majority, I'm just thinking like when Tyler Cameron from The Bachelor was on his like home reno show, like, okay,
Yeah.
we're just here to ogle, which is totally fine.
He's kind of funny, no?
He's kind of a himbo, so I don't know if it's like he's being funny on purpose. He's just from Florida, in my opinion.
I didn't watch his season of The Bachelor, but I got fully wrapped up in the him and Hannah Brown of it all and was like really rooting for them and couldn't tell you why. But they got me, you know?
I mean,
so clearly they did something there.
Unlike what they say about Asher and Whitney, they had great sexual tension. Asher and Whitney, according to the test audience, have zero sexual tension.
Yeah, but okay. Should you have sexual tension with your husband or wife? Like, shouldn't you be so comfy at that point that like there's no like will they, won't they? Like, oh my gosh, they must be so into each other. Like, you know, you would seem them being very comfortable and happy around each other, but it's not like, oh man, you could cut that sexual tension. Like, no, they figured out that the other one's into them. They've worked it out. They know.
It would be uncomfortable if they're like every scene you're like, oh, these two people are about to fuck. Like, I don't think you necessarily want that. Not to go back to the horny HGTV show featuring the girl from Selling Sunset and her husband and then the ex-wife of that guy. But like that has too much sexual tension. I think that's why that show doesn't work as an HGTV show. That show works as a reality show. Like, I think having sexual tension works when it's just a reality show. But if the show is meant to be about like making the world a better place and flipping houses, like you can't also have these two people who look like they're about to fuck at any moment. Like, that's just too much.
Is that what they do? Like, it's him and the ex-wife, right? That they're trying to say that there's still lots of sexual tension with?
It's like all three of them. It's like, is the ex-wife going to fuck the new wife? Because they look the same. And then is the husband going to fuck both of them?
Why would that be the conclusion? Because they look the same. I don't think it's like a foregone conclusion that like they look the same, they must want to fuck.
I mean,
although we know like a few people who look a lot like their significant other, but it's not a foregone conclusion.
I'm fairly certain that's a real thing, an actual like phenomenon that people want to fuck people who look like them.
Well, there's the whole like siblings are dating of it all, right? Yeah. Anyways. But it's not normally like you look, maybe there's like a feature you have that like you see in someone else and it feels like familiar, but not like that chick looks just like me, I gotta fuck her. Like, that seems like a lot, no? Is that what the show is setting up? Is my question. I'm just
describing what I saw on the show.
Okay.
It seems like those two girls want to fuck each other and the husband, ex-husband.
Does it make the show better? Like, you seem more interested in it.
They definitely are trying to tease that, like, oh, they might have a threesome. Like, I really feel like, I'm pretty sure the show is even called, like, The Flip Off, and they, like, did promo where they're like, we might even switch. Like, really? I think they're making, like, swinging jokes.
Can anyone who's seen the show please call in? Because I desperately need to know if Kelly is just crazy or if this like is genuinely what they're dishing out, or if Kelly's just like really is reading into something that's not there.
I'm gonna find like a clip and we can maybe put up a poll.
You can insert it of me being very wrong right now, of just being like, look, these people are clearly trying to bone.
It's very obvious. But yes, as discussed, the focus group does not like Asher. I think they feel Whitney's fine. Asher, they're not a fan of. And Dougie essentially has been the person instigating them watching this footage. He explains he's not sure that the show is going to get picked up, and he's just generally not feeling good about the prospects for Flipanthropy.
Yeah, one of my favorite lines from the focus group was passive homes, passive hosts.
It's pretty funny.
I was like, oh, read them to filth. And then I also want to bring up, you were in a focus group once, weren't you?
Kind of. So my husband Colin, who definitely has not left voicemails previously on this show, he, I don't really know how or why, signed up for Amazon Prime Videos kind of like test audience at some point. So we'll occasionally get emails that's like, oh, we're testing out a new show. Can you watch it? Or like, oh, can you watch a test of this new movie? So if anyone remembers that Jennifer Lopez rom-com that came up a few years ago, I think it was called like Shotgun Wedding. Like we got test footage of that and watched it like way before it came out. And then you have to fill out a survey and like send your feedback. We've gotten a couple of other shows as well. But yeah, it's not the same as this. Obviously, you don't like go to a room and watch stuff. They just send it to you at your house, and then there's like all of this stuff all over the screen to make sure that you don't send it to anyone, similar to like when you get screeners, and then you send your feedback after you've watched all of the episodes or the whole movie.
Oh, that sounds so much more relevant. I thought that your mom brought you to one as a kid and you ate yogurt or something.
Yeah, I also was in focus groups as a kid, like testing yogurt and like testing random
Yeah,
food.
right?
Yeah, I did both. Well, I thought you wanted
That's
to hear
what
about the
I
one
was
with like
thinking
TV
of.
shows.
Well, I didn't know about that one, so this is new information to me. I remembered the yogurt one, but I was mainly wanting to ask, did anyone have any good like zingers? Like really read that yogurt to filth?
No, I only did it a couple times and I was by myself in the room and I had to just like circle basically like because I was a kid, I would like circle like happy face or like sad face essentially. It was like very basic. They
It
weren't like
would
write a
be
soliloquy about your yogurt.
it would be so sad because like you now know that whoever made this yogurt was watching this child just like circle a frowny face and it's
just
like their life's work, their yogurt.
Yeah,
That they've dreamed of children loving across the land, and you just circle a frowny face. And it's like that's all you have to say to me. You can't tell me how to fix it. Devastating.
It's rough because I think I got paid like $10. So like really crushing dreams for like no money either.
Yeah. Well, for the movies that you watched, did you like any of them?
To be honest, not really. We've never gotten a really good one. There was one so basically when they send you the email saying like, hey, we have a movie, we can send you screeners, or like, hey, we have a show, we can send you screeners, it gives you like a short description so you can kind of try and figure out what it is that you're getting. I can't remember what show it was. I'm trying to remember which Prime Video show it would have been. We got a description and then we were like going away or something. So we were like, we're not going to be able to watch it in time because they give you a time limit on how quickly you can watch stuff. We were like, we're not going to be able to watch it. So we didn't end up getting that one. And I think it ended up being something that we actually liked. Like it might have been maybe Fallout. Like we could have gotten early, which actually would have been amazing.
Fallout was really good.
But yeah, we just like weren't going to be able to watch it. So.
Well, I have never been in a test audience, but I feel like this one was very funny. The standouts, I guess, were there's one guy who just like blatantly really likes Asher and no one else does, but he also just doesn't believe in climate change.
Yeah.
So I guess it's not a good thing if someone who has shitty views likes you. So I don't know if that helped Asher in any way.
I think it just like really made the rest of the focus group turn against him and want to hate Asher even more.
Yeah, and then of the 11 people in the focus group, 6 are credited in the show and 4 of them are not. So I think quite a few of them are actors because it would have been fun if they actually shot a pilot and then showed it to a real focus group and just like seen what happened. Rather than it being like a strictly scripted component. But I mean, I think I'm just used to Nathan Fielder having such a blend of scripted and non-scripted. It would have been like a funny element to have included. But I think that their scripted focus group was very funny as well.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, when I looked as well on IMDb for some of the people from this focus group, it seemed like a lot of them were people who had like randomly been PAs and stuff like that. So I'm wondering if they just pulled like
Mm-hmm.
random people working on the show to be in the focus group. I was gonna say, like, I don't know what the budget was for this TV show. So that could kind of be another thought. Like, how much money were they willing to spend on getting actual people versus like people who are already working on it? But
Yeah.
yeah, definitely a fun moment to have the focus group. I also enjoyed that Dougie did not care at all and was trying to order Dominoes chicken
Okay.
fingers.
This had to have been an ad, right? He literally talks about like, oh, the new Domino's chicken fingers look so delicious. And they're like, Dougie, we don't have time for this. He's like, no, Domino's delivers in only 15 minutes. I was like, okay, simmer down there, Domino's. Like, be a little bit more subtle. You cannot convince me they didn't pay for this ad space.
I didn't even know that they had chicken tenders. So I'm going to be honest, like, this did get me to Google it. Like, I'm looking right now. I'm like, maybe I need to order some Domino's chicken fingers and eat them on the podcast.
Okay, well, you can get them in 15 minutes.
Maybe. I don't know.
You live in a populated area. You should probably put in the order like right now. Can we time them?
Colin's just downstairs and like an
Text
order
Colin.
of Domino's chicken tenders.
Chicken tendies. You should
He didn't
actually
even-
order some.
He didn't watch the episode either, so he would not have any
What?
idea why.
Okay, Colin, come
Not
on
for
now.
any reason other than that he was not home when I watched it. So
Okay. Well, we'll have to order him some chicken tendies and see what he thinks.
yeah, like what sauce were they getting with the chicken tendies? I would love to know.
He
I would
didn't
love
order
more
them
info.
ultimately.
Well, maybe after he ate the blueberries, he ordered them.
Yeah, so rough. So he just goes and takes Whitney's blueberries and then is like, I'm definitely not going to spill this on your white couch. And she's like, okay, good, don't. And then he immediately does. Hate to see it.
Yeah, Dougie's a bit toddler. He just like spilling stuff, wanting tendies. He's just a big kid.
Sounds like a fun night for him, though. Like, he's not getting ripped to shreds about his show. And as
Yeah.
much as they were telling Asher he was unlikable, the things that, remember when Dougie was saying, oh, you should kind of insult Whitney in the episode so we can see her reaction? I was like, that would
Yeah.
have made him even more unlikable.
Yeah, it's kind of still confusing. I know we're going to talk about Dougie like later on and kind of more about him. I'm still trying to figure out what his motivations are with this TV show because he asked for the focus group. So I'm just kind of thinking like what is his angle here showing it to them? Is it we need to reshoot this in a completely different way, like my way? Is it that he just doesn't want the show to work at all and he's just trying to like throw blame on them for the reason it's not working? Is this whole thing fake? Like did he fake the focus group and he's lying about a bunch of this stuff? I have no idea what to think of Dougie's whole career in production of TV based on this kind of little thing that we've seen.
Well, allegedly HGTV sent it to him and he's trying to figure out if them sending it means that because they got a negative review, it's a good excuse to not proceed with the show. But Asher quickly jumps in and says, what are we going to do about this? What are your ideas? How are we going to get them to like it more? And Whitney says, oh, we don't need him. Like, don't ask him. It's not for him to figure out. But isn't it?
Yeah, he's selling the show.
Yeah, so Whitney doesn't seem to think he needs to be involved either for some reason and just is frankly watching it for an ego boost.
Yeah, it feels like Whitney is so concerned about just making sure that people are talking about like the sustainability of the houses and climate change and all of these like very important topics, but also like this is so clearly just a vanity project for her. Like she obviously has a lot of money. We see later with like the sweater where she's like, whatever, just rip it off my head. Like she literally does not care. She is just doing this stuff to make herself feel better.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, who doesn't want a successful TV show? That would be fun.
Oh, totally.
Flipantropy.
Totally.
where people think you and your husband are so charming and funny and nice and doing well for the community. Like, I feel like anyone would love that.
And like I think she does genuinely want to do some things to help the community. But she's just so obsessed with the optics of it that it's
Yeah,
like this is
she
not
tends
genuine
to
at all.
go. Yeah, she tends to go about them pretty poorly.
Yeah.
So then we head to a scene at school where we find the little girl, Nala, who tiny cursed Asher.
Obsessed with tiny curse. I feel like I've been tiny cursing people for years and I never had a name for it.
Yeah, definitely. I think we had like a whole thing in university where we came up with like a really long list of like small inconveniences that would like really, really ruin your day. It was like,
Yeah.
oh.
Yeah, this is iconic. Like Nala and me, we're on the same wavelength. We see Nala leaving school. It seems like she's not very popular. We see some girls making fun of her making fun of her to each other because of the fact that she's black. And she just doesn't seem to have a lot of friends at school, which is very sad. She meets
Yeah.
up with who I'm assuming is her sister, Hani. I feel like it's not super explained if they are sisters or related in some other way or just are living with the dad. Abshir, but they meet up together and walk home. And so we see that they are living in a house and someone ends up knocking on the door while they're kind of arguing a little bit at the kitchen table, just kind of sibling kid stuff about like an eraser that Hani had given.
Basketball eraser. I can see me as like a child caring like a lot about this. To be fair.
Yeah, this scene was so real. This was like perfect encapsulation of an older sibling, younger sibling dynamic for sure.
Yeah. I feel like any like shaped erasers and stickers, like I always had a hard time with because it's like you don't want to use it because like it's a fun shape or it looks cool. And like I could never commit to like, using the eraser or like sticking the sticker. So I was like, I can see why like this is valuable to you in kid currency.
Oh yeah. 100%. I feel like Hani is kind of correct. Wanting it back.
Sure. Yeah.
Though she only lent it to her like the day before, which I feel like, there's still time to find it. But someone knocks on the door. The girls become very stressed out about this. Hani runs and like grabs a folder from one of the drawers and her cell phone and is like, we need to leave. They like basically run out the back door and we see that it's Asher who has drilled through the deadbolt at the house. So we quickly learn that this is Questa Lane. This house is the Questa Lane that he had just bought. Asher chases the girls down and is trying to explain that he has the $100 for them.
Okay, and we gotta pause because this chase. Nala is sitting too still when someone is currently breaking into your house. Like, girl, you need to run now. Like, there's a drill, and I guess you kind of want to see who's coming into the house, but I'd be getting up, and if I'm not leaving, I'm, like, putting stuff against the door. So, I mean, she's a kid, you get a little nervous, but you got to do something. On this chase, I guess is what we're calling it, there's, like, this kind of fenced area where Nathan goes to, like, do a wall jump, but then kind of just does, like, a fun little, like, kick. And then just like keeps running. And I was like, what a silly little moment while you're booking it after some children to like try to throw $100 bill at them. It was just like the little whoop.
Parkour. Yeah. He like tried to jump and look over a fence, but it was so like the only way to describe it, he just looked like such a loser. That's the only way to describe what it looks like.
His little leg kick. He looked very unathletic. Very unintimidating, which is helpful when chasing down kids. Like
two little kids.
You don't need to intimidate them. He's like, don't worry, guys. Look at my jump. You can trust me.
I'm not very athletic. I'm very unassuming. You could definitely take me in a fight. There's two of you and only one of me.
Yes.
And I've lost 2 Emmys this week. So,
My ego in the trash.
Yes, so while Asher's trying to chase them down, one of the neighbors stops him and is basically like holds him and won't let him keep chasing after the girls and
Honestly,
calls the police.
fucking hero. Like,
Yeah.
yes, king. He like stepped up, grabbed Asher. He saw the jump on the wall and was
Yeah.
like, oh, this is
Mm-mm.
no problem. I can take this man. Throws him in a chair and is like, don't even fucking think of standing up. Calls the police on his ass. Asher is able to give away the money, and they kind of sorted out that he owned the house, but this was kind of a fun little moment. Stand up for the little girls in your community, friends. Defend them from the
Yeah.
random men chasing them, athletic or not.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, this guy's a hero. Good for him for standing
Yeah.
up for those little girls.
Imagine telling like one of their neighbors, like, oh no, I know them because I saw them in a parking lot once. It's like, sir, you do not know these children.
Yeah, Asher's a dummy. He's an idiot.
Yeah.
Also, like, the fact that his first instinct is like, oh, I still have to give them the $100, as if that's like gonna help when you've just found out that they're squatting in this house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I guess he wants to make amends and thinks that they'll stop and talk to him for the $100. But as soon as you are chasing a child, like, go back to the house, write a note, leave the money, you know? Or like they're
Yeah.
going to come back at some point. You can never chase children.
No, it's not a good idea. Also, very unathletic that he can't even catch them.
He did catch up to them. He like
Oh,
turned
true.
on the boots, ran up past them and was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. But it did take him longer than it should have.
So because the police are called, they take Asher back to the house. Asher explains that he owns this house. He thought it was vacant. And the officer's basically like, oh, people are squatting here. You need to get all these locks and cameras and all of this stuff. And the girls at this point come back with their dad, who we learn later is named Abshir, who explains that he had been paying rent to the previous owner, but the previous owner had not been cashing the checks for the past few years. And essentially the reason being that the owner's estate had not been paying taxes. So that's why the house was foreclosed upon and Asher was able to buy the property. And Asher, in a moment of, kind-heartedness in his mind, tells them that they can stay as long as they need to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're not going to get the police involved. They can stay. It's all good. Which is very nice.
Seemingly a very kind act.
On the surface. I do suspect that Whitney and Asher are just going to become slumlords like Whitney's parents. And like that initial interview of like, are you just like your parents, is really going to come back to haunt them. Because what is the rest of this nonsense of them interacting with Abshir and the two little girls?
I mean, it just becomes like abundantly clear that the only time they've ever interacted with people at a different income level than them, in a different living situation with them, was for the TV show. And like, they don't understand how to talk to people who aren't upper middle class.
Oh, definitely.
Or higher.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So Asher explains all this to Whitney, talks about the fact that they bought this property to wait it out for property value to increase. And, money doesn't really matter. This is about doing the right thing. Whitney does call him out as well on the lie where he had mentioned they were in transitional housing. He kind of says like, oh, these people are a bit all over the map. They forgot that I gave them the $100 at the earlier meeting, so I gave them another $100. Like, Asher's really trying to gas himself up for being such a great guy. Like, he's really out here helping this family.
Yeah, such a weird thing that Whitney doesn't pause and say, can you not blatantly lie to my face? Like, oh, if you ask them about the other 100, like, they don't seem to remember, as if a random man chasing you down into your transitional housing to give you $100 wouldn't stick in your memory very, very well.
Yeah. I feel like Whitney's also not, like, she's kind of like, oh, like, this is a great act. This is so nice of you. But also, she isn't like, I think she's a little upset that it's not her doing it. That's the vibe that I'm getting from this phone call.
Yeah. Or their little car drive.
Yes. Car drive. We also see a scene where Whitney goes to get the shot because of the ectopic pregnancy, and Whitney jokes that Asher can fill the role of being a baby for a while. I feel like the "wah wah nappy nappy time baby cry" line was extremely Nathan Fielder coded. Like that was just
very,
him.
very Pilot's Code specific, where he did in fact dress up as a baby. So very timely for us specifically, having that been the Emmy nomination. We know that he is a top-notch baby, and Whitney can count on him. He has
Yeah.
the experience.
He has rehearsed this.
Mm-hmm.
Even. Okay, did you feel when the doctor looked at the ultrasound, like after he gave her the shot, that it seemed like something was happening? He seemed like
I felt
unsure.
like something was wrong.
Yeah, that's exactly how I felt too.
Yeah, and then Asher also was so weird in the doctor's appointment, like pulling out his calendar, asking when they can have sex, when her next period is, if he can use his fingers and oral is okay. And you can see Whitney is like dying and
Like,
wants
stop
him to
asking.
shut up. Yeah, like, can you not? This is not a great time. And then Dr. Brown talks about his wild weekend having a Guinness.
Relatable, Dr. Brown. Yeah, I'm interested to see where this whole storyline is gonna go.
Mm-hmm.
Because
yeah, it can't be concluded here, because why are you going on about it and focusing on it?
yeah, and like the ultrasound thing was too weird to be a one-off, in my opinion.
Yeah, unless they just want to show that Asher really wants to have kids and wants to, get going, because we haven't seen them have that conversation about if they both actually want to pursue having kids still.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, could it be that like the doctor's looking at the ultrasound and being like, oh, the dating is wrong, and like this is not Asher's baby?
That would honestly probably make sense, because based on what we saw, there's not a lot of like penetration, although
Yeah.
you would think that like they would know if they've done that or not, and the timeline, like Asher would be aware. It wouldn't be a weird secret.
Yeah, that's true. But like, especially when he's like, oh, I've got the app, I'm like tracking her and all these things.
Yeah.
I'm like, maybe she was lying about like when she was ovulating, and then like things are going to be off, and she's trying to like actively not get pregnant with him or something like that.
If it were to be someone else's baby, there's not a lot of characters in the loop right now who are actual characters on this show. It would just be Dougie, unless we're introducing someone new.
Maybe she went to like a sperm bank.
No,
Maybe she's
I don't
scared.
think so.
She's scared that if she has a boy, the kid's gonna have a small dick. So she was like, "I'm gonna get a donor instead."
I don't think that that's something that like parents worry about with their kids. Like that's not in your list of hopes. Like, oh, I hope he's got a real hog. It's like that actually doesn't really involve you much.
It's never crossed my mind, but I don't know. It seems like Whitney's family. It seems like Whitney's family talks about it a lot, though.
But it's on her side of the family too. It's her dad and her husband. Like she's got it on both sides.
Very true. But anyways, just a small conspiracy theory to follow.
The conspiracy theory is that she doesn't want her son to have a small dick, so she went to a sperm bank.
No, just generally that maybe the baby isn't Asher's.
No, I'd like that to be the specific conspiracy, actually. I'm on board for the baby not being Asher's. You've lost me a little bit at the sperm bank. Because also, isn't it, now you worked at a fertility clinic. If it's not just natural, can you even have, what's the kind of pregnancy called? Ectopic,
yeah. So
is that even possible?
Yeah, for sure. Because generally, like, if you have, because like she wouldn't have gone through IVF. That would be way too complicated to hide from her husband. But you could go into a fertility clinic, and there's all different types of procedures that they can do that don't involve like IVF, and lots of them can end up being ectopic pregnancy. It's basically the same process, but like they just like basically turkey baster the sperm up there. No joke. This is like a real thing.
One? Well, duh. Now that we're talking about it, she really wanted it to be Dr. Brown. Like, remember,
Yes.
she wouldn't let the nurse. She needed him to be there. So maybe
Yes.
he did the first procedure and was aware that maybe Asher didn't know. Or maybe Whitney was at his wild weekend with a Guinness a few times.
Oh man. Well, the other thing too is like, yeah, maybe like Asher has bad sperm. We don't know.
Yeah, I feel like you could like check that, and something like your husband would be understanding of it. I don't think you'd have to hide it from him. Like he would have to find out.
Yeah, he would get the results too.
Yeah.
But just some things to think about. And
Yeah.
some info for anyone about fertility clinics.
This tinfoil toque, like, I support. Like, I do think that there's some questionable nonsense happening here.
Yeah, and we'll get into the fight later, but like, oof. Like Winnie does not really like Asher, I think.
I keep thinking she doesn't like him, like, at all either.
Yeah.
Which, like, you always know those couples who, like, bicker a little too much, and you're like, oh, come on, guys, like,
Get it together.
You want to be a couple who likes each other at the minimum, especially if you're gonna have like a show together where you're acting like you shouldn't have to act like you are in love with your spouse.
Yes, as Nathan Fielder said he did when he was acting with Emma Stone in this show on the rehearsal.
Yeah, which was particularly devastating because he had been married, and I remember on the rehearsal we had chatted about, I was like, man, it's rough for his example of like drawing from an experience of being in love and acting in love was when he was pretending to be in love with Emma Stone rather than when he was actually in love with his wife. But yeah, I guess they broke up.
I think he just doesn't want to talk about his ex-wife, to be honest.
Yeah.
All right, so Whitney is talking to Asher again about maybe how they could fix up the house for Abshir and the girls. They could put some money into it. She suggests maybe $5,000 to $6,000. Asher says, maybe $500 to $1,000 could do a lot because the property at the end of the day will be a teardown, so any money they put in is not coming back to them. Again, I think a very illuminating conversation for their true thoughts on helping this family. They're very clearly only doing this as a short-term solution for them, and they still are mainly concerned about their bottom line with this house investment.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is completely fair. You did buy a property. I think, do we believe that they are squatters in it, or that they were paying rent and it stopped getting cashed and they didn't know what to do and just stayed?
I'm torn because I think we'll have to get to know them a little bit more. Abshir says he works at the grocery store, so it sounds like he at least has employment. So I want to believe that he was paying the rent. It does feel like they are very, established in the house. There's furniture, there's drawings up on the walls. The girls have rooms with stickers all over stuff. So it feels like they have been living there for a while. Mm-hmm. And I just don't foresee that they would be squatting on purpose for that long.
Yeah.
But maybe I just want to believe the best in people too.
Yeah, I think that it sounds like for a few years they haven't had to pay rent because the checks were bouncing, and then he just stopped trying. And it seems like they still are struggling quite a bit financially. So yeah, I think they're just trying to offer this for a year because they have to buy time anyway. They're going to be in the area to make themselves feel better about everything. But I think it's also fair as a landlord to say, we bought this house. It is a teardown. We can try to make it nice for them in some ways, but if they're not asking and they're not hoping for it, especially if they're charging them no rent, I think it's typically fair, but they are trying to make themselves feel like they're really good people for this.
It's one of those things where at a certain point, it just becomes like you're being rude to them by
Yeah,
offering all of these things.
100%.
Like they were perfectly happy just living in the house as it is. And like, yes, obviously everyone would love to live in a nicer place, but the way that they're going about even like approaching them and kind of talking to them about what they're going to do to the house and like, oh, we're going to make it so nice for you and all of these things just makes it feel very, it's almost like embarrassing.
Well, I mean, the things that they're fixing are like a leak in the ceiling. There's like literally busted windows. It seems like the water is a problem. Like, frankly, if you are now their landlords, like, you should be fixing these things. You should make it livable. You should make the space better. I think where they really lose me is like the whole hot dog talk and like the
Yeah.
supplement conversation, if we want to get into that.
Yeah. I feel that whole situation is really something. So they go over to the house and they kind of want to chat with Abshir and look at the house, figure out what they can do. Whitney really wants to meet them. And at the time, Abshir's making dinner. He's making like hot dogs boiled in water. And Whitney's like asking a lot of questions about like, how do they eat it? With veggies? Do they put it with rice? And Abshir's like, we just put buns. Like, I think probably the most natural answer. And Whitney's like, oh, cookout style.
That was
And then
so like I crawled out of my skin like when she asked multiple times like, "Oh, do you have your hot dogs with rice? Do you have them with vegetables? Oh, you have them cookout style on buns?" It's like, chill out. It was
yeah,
so rough.
it was very weird. And then when she goes to sit down on the couch with Nala already knows her name, and Whitney's like, oh, how did you know my name? Nala's like, well, I just heard you say it. Like, Whitney just is making a lot of assumptions about the girls and about Abshir. And I feel like, you know, she just doesn't know how to interact with these people. She doesn't know what to do with
Yeah.
herself.
Yeah, she is super a fish out of water, just is saying weird things. Like she's trying to really endear herself to the girls, but doesn't know what to say. She's like, oh, like, you know what TikTok is? Like, do you love to dance? And it's just being like so fake and so
Yeah.
artificial. And like even her movements are like way too much. But when she did say to Nala, like, oh, how do you even know my name? I went back and checked to see if she had said it. And she had, because I wasn't sure if they were trying to make it like almost spooky, like Nala keeps knowing all these things about them. Maybe they didn't say her name. Maybe she does know about them from something else. But no, Whitney introduced herself. Nala was right there.
She was literally sitting right there. Of course, she heard her be introduced.
Yeah.
And this is how we learn about the tiny curse.
Oh my gosh, so funny.
Nala explains that she had tiny cursed Asher, and when she explains what that is, it has to be like some kind of small curse on someone. So the specific thing that she wanted was to take the chicken out of his dinner. And something we didn't flag, because how could we have known, was that in episode 1, after the curse happens, they open these like Factor dupes. I don't remember what the brand that they had in the show was called, but it's essentially Factor. And when they open it up, they're like, oh, there's no chicken in our chicken and pasta dish. It's just pasta. So Asher calls and complains to the company. And Asher is very upset and very unnerved by this.
Honestly, it would be spooky to hear. It's not just like, oh, your shoelace was untied. Like, it's pretty specific. It's very unlikely that a company would send like a complete missing ingredient, and that's the exact curse the little girl gave you. Like, I would be a little spooked too.
It was 2 dinners. It wasn't just one was missing chicken. Like, both of them were missing chicken.
Yeah, I don't think I would jump to they are stalking me and knew what I was going to have for dinner. I'd be like, oh, that's a really bad coincidence, and she got me good. She did me dirty, you know. But, you know, I wouldn't think this child is a witch.
No. Or yeah, the conclusion that he jumps to about her going through their garbage or looking through the window and listening to them, like, obviously not. This is a child. Like, she doesn't even think
know
about
where
you
live. She doesn't know where you live. She thought it was a funny TikTok trend. That's why I wanted to check to see, like, is there other stuff that she knows? Like,
Yeah,
does she actually know more about them? You would need more information than this.
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so Asher becomes obsessed with the tiny curse. He just is.
Fair.
It's all he can think about.
So we do get a clip of him watching a bunch of TikToks. Most of them are the tiny curse is you tiny curse someone and their shoelaces get untied. We had someone where like the pop can, the top got really flat and you couldn't open it. But that was all of them. They weren't like fun and creative. But he was saying like, oh, how could she have thought of chicken all on her own? Like there were none of these with chicken in them.
Yeah, I mean, maybe she's just creative.
If you were to tiny curse someone, what would you do to them?
Well, this is one that I use a lot in university, but it's always, I hope that every time you buy a shirt, the sleeves are a little bit too short.
Yeah.
Because that's
Or
impossible
like
to
the
fix.
neck's a little too tight.
Yeah, like you can't fix those
Mhm.
problems.
Yeah, I guess not. Unless you added like a cuff or something. Like it wouldn't be the easiest, but and every
So
single
inconvenient.
time too.
So
Mhm.
inconvenient. I also like your pillow is always warm. That's a good one too.
Yeah. Yeah, I forget. We used to have such a list. I can't remember them, but it was like I hope you get stung. I feel like it's not tiny to get stung by bees. And it was like, oh, I hope like you get like every time you hold paper, you get a paper cut. It was
Yeah.
like the drama, you know. I hope your drink's always a little too warm,
Yeah.
stuff like that. But
Yeah,
getting
I
the
mean-
chicken out of your dinner, it's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, I would be pissed. So I think Asher did get a refund. So,
Mhm.
you know, it wasn't even that bad of a curse, really.
Mhm.
So after we see this kind of scene with the curse and all of this, we also get Whitney stuck in her sweater. And she can't get the zipper undone. She asks Asher to try and just get the zipper to come undone. He can't do it. And she's like, just rip the shirt off. And so it kind of turns into a funny moment. They're like struggling. He has to like literally like get her to put her arms up, and he's like, you need to resist, and he pulls really hard. Eventually they get the shirt off. But after that she's like, oh, this is the real us and I wish the network could see it, and decides the best thing to do after having a nice genuine moment with her husband. She's like, we got to recreate that and put it on my Instagram, since the network's obviously going to be looking at my Instagram.
I think aside from when we were talking about the Gatorade getting knocked off the table, this is the new worst moment of the show for sure.
Yeah.
Like this was horrific. This was the worst time. It's like all those YouTubers who like force their kids to be on camera and redo things over and over again. Like it just like was so icky, and they really poorly redid the scene, and you could just tell it wasn't genuine, and like the laughing was so fake. It was awful to watch.
Yeah, and it's just sad because like you could tell Asher was just giggling and like having a fun time with his wife. And then Whitney like immediately turns it into like, oh, we have to use this for the show.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of sad that Whitney feels like she needs to make everything like revolve around this TV show. Like, which honestly, I guess it's great that she's so driven and like wants the show to succeed so much. But in terms of for her marriage, not great.
Well, I mean, getting the show would help her marriage and also help her career. Like, I can see if you're genuinely trying to put out a TV show, like, this should be a really big part of your life. This should matter. But, like, their way of, she kept saying, like, this is us. Like, we have to show them us. But, like, their recreation was so creepy and, like, not even fun to watch. Like, it's not something that you would even want HGTV to see. Like, I'd written down some of their lines where the shirt gets really stuck and Asher is trying to get the shirt off, and he says like, oh, we should get one of the contractors to help out. And Whitney says, oh, you want one of our contractors to undress me in our bedroom? And Asher says, well, I don't want you to have sex with other men. And Whitney is like, well, who says our contractor has to be a man? And then like looks at the camera and is like, I was like, whatever you think that was A, not a recreation of what you just did, and B, was so fake and creepy and like weirdly overly sexual, which I think we just discussed is not what your show is, unless it's like, what's the name of the show you keep saying? Like they're trying to have a threesome?
I think it's called The Flip Off.
The flip off. So unless we're getting some contractor in to have a flip off, like what are we doing here? It was so weird. And then Asher isn't feeling it, and he's still thinking about Nala and wants to talk about the fact that, oh, maybe she was looking through the window, she was doing this, she was doing that. And Whitney immediately starts saying that, like, is implying that he's being racist and like, you know, not all homeless people are digging through your trash, and he's being very judgmental, but he's coming at it seemingly from a place of, hey, this child knew all these real facts about me and knew what to curse me with, which again is very silly. But he's focused on that and feels like Whitney isn't giving him the benefit of the doubt and is really frustrated by that. He wants to be validated by her, and I guess they've seen a couples counselor or something, because he reiterates that he's saying the lines that I believe it was Lisa told him to say, and she's supposed to validate him, and she just starts ripping him an absolute new one, gives him no grace until she realizes that they're still being filmed. And once she sees like, oh, there's this presence watching us, which has been a real theme in this show, of like, oh, when we're being watched, how you're acting versus when you don't know you're being watched. Only then does she start to kind of say, oh, you know what? We both said things we shouldn't have. Let's just go to bed and kind of call it a day.
Yeah, this was so sad. However, acting on Nathan Fielder's part, acting his ass off in this scene.
Yeah.
Emma Stone, obviously we know, an amazing actress.
We know.
Like,
we know
we
she's
already
a great
know.
actress. We already know.
But Nathan Fielder, you know, he hasn't really had any really big scenes like this where he's like yelling and screaming. And I was definitely upset watching it. Like,
Yeah.
just seeing how upset he was getting. And yeah, his kind of whole point of her never giving him the benefit of the doubt was very like, I think we've seen it in the show.
Yeah.
That does seem to be a big theme. So
yeah.
he has a really big point, and she just refuses to acknowledge the fact that like she is not validating his feelings at all until, like you said, she sees the camera again.
Yeah, and even then, she really half-asses it. She's like, we've both done things. And it's like, well, did you? Because it's even like back to the art gallery, you know, where she needs to be like the most woke, the most in tune with what's happening, the most empathetic to every race and every income. And you know, she knows the most about the area and is the most sensitive to it. And now might be a really great time to kind of go back and talk about Fernando, where they realize that the coffee shop they had promised would be open and would be employing him from our previous episode, they drive by and see that it's closed. And Whitney is super upset and is running around and trying to solve things. And again, in one of her many ways where she decides, like, I have the solution to this, she calls him and asks if he wants to be security for the shops, because now there's multiple shops closed in this area, and she's like, you know what, it could use some security. She essentially offers for him to work his exact same hours at his exact same wage, and he offers, you know what, no, if you want to actually have security for this area, you're going to need me to work overnight. I believe it was like 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. So you're going to need me to do that if you want me to actually secure the area. And she agrees to it without having any actual knowledge of the area and realizing what a dangerous job she's signing him up for. They're not giving him, you know, any protective equipment. They're not giving him any backup. They're not having him work shifts with anyone. He like shows up with a pull-up chair or like a folding chair and like a sawed-off shotgun or something. and he's sitting there, and we get this kind of dramatic freeze frame on him, and it was very ominous. It made me
Oh my
really,
God,
really
yeah.
worried about him. You know, at the end of some movies where they kind of do freeze frames on different characters and say, where are they now? What happened to them after this? And I was waiting for it to say something bad about him, like something hurt him. So I feel like that's really going to come around where she's like, oh, I just have to find a way to give this man money. But
Yeah.
without any knowledge of the area, understanding what an undertaking doing security as just an individual is.
Yeah, I agree. It was very ominous the way that it ended. I think he had like maybe I couldn't decide if it was like maybe a hunting rifle. I don't know. I don't know very much about guns.
I don't know
but
guns.
It was yeah.
What was a gun?
We're famously like Canadian people who
Yeah.
like live in the city and
Yeah.
don't
we
really
saw
go
a gun.
hunting.
We thought this is extreme.
Yeah, we
We
said
thought
that's
the
crazy.
situation is much worse than we anticipated. Bad things are happening.
Yeah, but yeah, it just seems like she does just want to give him money. It was so upsetting when she called him and he was like, "Oh, I assumed it was just for the show."
Yeah.
Like he even thought that the job wasn't going to
Mhm.
be real, which is such a bummer.
His dreams of being a barista, which again
Yeah.
is another situation where she was just like, oh, we're going to give you a job at this coffee shop so you can make money. And it's like, well, have you ever actually talked to him and learned about what he wants to do? You're making this whole coffee shop. Seemingly part of the reason is to help him get a job. Like, why not find out what his actual dreams are and what his actual job, like, aspirations are before just opening up a random coffee shop and being like, you can be a barista.
Yeah, and like even when she says, "Oh, you said you've worked security before, right?" Like we don't know anything more about like what kind of security was this? Was this like a legit security job? Was it something like nefarious? Like we have so little info about what poor Fernando is getting into here and like what I don't know. It can't be good. There's no way that this was
Yeah.
set up for Fernando to ride off into the sunset after making all the money to help with his mom's cancer treatments.
Yeah, and he even says like the freaks come out at night. Like what freaks are Fernando going to have to deal with? I'm just worried for our boy.
I know. He's
Yeah.
just trying to get money to help his mom.
And now on one hand, he did offer to go there at night. Like
yeah.
Whitney clearly doesn't actually care about looking into it and would have happily paid him to sit there during the day. But he's like such a good guy. He's not just trying to take that handout. And frankly, he could have just gone in and sat out there during the day, like when things are a little bit safer. And he's the one who offered and said, you know what? If you want actual security on these buildings, like these are the hours you're genuinely going to need them. So I just hope he's okay. Whitney does acknowledge that they probably should have stuck to local businesses like Native Grounds or Dead Sea Salts rather than trying to bring in different businesses that might draw in people from other communities, like, you know, a very hip, trendy coffee shop, which, you know, would benefit Whitney and Asher if something like that were to succeed, to, again, draw in people from other communities to see, you know, what fun little hip spots are happening. But they are talking about maybe this will help them in the future if their show does get picked up, trying to involve the local community a little bit more.
Yeah, and I think even back in the first episode where they had a bit more info on this coffee shop, like there's a way to have a coffee shop in a community
Of
where
course, yeah.
it's not, you know, $10 like lattes and like very hip and not serving the community. Like famously, we're losing a lot of our third places, and I feel like coffee shops can be a really nice like gathering point for people, community events, like all of these cool things can happen with coffee shops. But we saw in that first episode, someone came in with like a free drink voucher and literally just wanted like a drip coffee. And they were like, oh yeah, you can get like all of these things. And the person was literally like, I just want my free coffee. Like, I don't want to buy a latte. So, you know, the problem is they just, again, they don't actually care about catering to the community that already lives in the neighborhood. Like they only care about finding other people like them. They don't actually want to figure out a way to maybe make a cool coffee shop that also people who already live there would also want to frequent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's definitely a middle ground here that they could have reached. But the freeze frame of Fernando.
We're on Fernando watch.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what are some of the things that we are on watch for this episode? So obviously Fernando. I'd be interested if there's any more tiny curses coming from Nala or any more TikTok trends.
Definitely. I think we're on baby watch.
Baby watch.
We're on Dougie is miserable watch.
Yeah, we barely talked about Dougie asking Asher to hang out, but it was very
and then is
pathetic.
Sobbing or crying in his hotel room. And again, you get another one of those scenes of looking through the window like we're watching him in private cry, which is so sad. We don't hear anything about the casino, nothing about the news reporter this episode, so maybe it'll come back around next time. He did get those files. So I think we're assuming that he has either already given them to the reporter or really soon he must be meeting up with her to give her those files because, and I mean, if their show doesn't get off the ground, does it matter that they had this interview? Like, is he waiting to see if the show gets picked up before giving away and really throwing his friends under the bus? Because you can't possibly do that if your show hasn't even gotten picked up yet.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, honestly, the real story is that the coffee shop and the jeans store are now closed.
Yeah.
Like if the reporter
There's lots
wanted
more to judge.
If the reporter wanted to write a bad story about them, she could literally just write about that. Or like, I'm sure when something happens to Fernando, we'll get more reporter coverage.
And I wouldn't be surprised if she reported on the casino and then also still reported on this. Like, what is stopping her from doing that?
Yeah.
And you could just double down and say, oh, Asher, not only does he encourage the continuation of gambling, but also look at him being a terrible landlord and making a lot of horrible decisions in his personal life as well. Like you could really just do like a hit piece on this random man, which I don't think people really do unless you're a celebrity or you're like a high profile figure. So unless their show comes out, I don't really see the point.
For sure. One quick thing. Now that we know that the little girls are Nala and Hani and we've kind of like gotten the family kind of more in the episode, I just want to say, I feel like Nala and Hani, the actresses, are doing such a great job. Sometimes I feel like little kid actors are a little cringy, but I really liked watching both of them. I thought they did an amazing job in both their roles. They were
definitely
totally believable.
Yeah, they are little girls. They seemed like little girls bickering. I was like, I could for sure see that happening. Yeah, they did a great job. I was sad. What was the corner Nala was in? The calm corner?
The calm corner.
The calm corner.
I
that
know.
feels like very much like something teachers these days would do. Like they can't put you in timeout. They can put you in the calm corner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay. We've all been in the calm corner. Maybe we all need to take some time in the calm corner now.
I was going to say, I could use more time in the calm corner.
Yeah. Well, next week we won't be in the calm corner. We will be under the big tree. That's the title of the episode.
Oh no, is someone dead?
I don't know. I'm going to be so for real. The only thing that comes to mind for me is like, are you coming to the tree? You know, the Hunger Games. I can't keep going. I am.
No. Yeah, under a big tree, like, to me, seems like you're hiding something. Like, people, pets, things like that get buried under big trees. People, like, hang themselves in trees. Like, I feel like you want to think of a big tree as, like, this big, beautiful, fun thing, but under the big tree sounds very spooky to me.
If we get a, like, the hanging tree performance... I will lose my mind. If we get some crossover between The Curse and The Hunger Games, oh my word. I would
be very surprised. I'd be very surprised that this Nathan Fielder show and when did the Hunger Games come out? Like fiction, 2000s movie. Incredible film, incredible franchise.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's like the inspiration he's pulling from or that what I'm reading. Although another society that's full of bullshit.
So true.
Are we realizing that the Hunger Games and the Curse are actually quite similar?
I mean, the Hunger Games, I think you can draw parallels to almost anything if you want to.
Literally all of society. Any situation, Hunger Games.
Yeah, I pre-ordered and bought the newest Hunger Games book, Sunrise on the Reaping, and I went and picked it up on my lunch break at work. And so I just like had it sitting on my desk, and I feel like everyone in my office was like, "Oh, you're reading the Hunger Games?" And I was like, I feel like people are really sleeping on the fact that this is a child death match. Like I think
Yes.
everyone just remembers like Jennifer Lawrence, like she was kind of cool in that movie. I'm like, y'all are really sleeping on the Hunger Games as an adult novel. Like it is so much better when you read it as an adult and you understand more of what Suzanne Collins was going for.
Okay, I will give it a reread because I really, really loved it. And then a few years ago, I rewatched the movies and was like, oh, these are still pretty good. There's some silly parts, you know, like when PETA like face paints himself to be a perfect
Tree.
like, tree with like zero equipment to do so. Like that's a particularly fun moment. But yeah, I would definitely give it a reread. And okay, I don't know why the Hunger Games, like, I mean, the title literally made me think of this, but if we're talking about when, like, this family who wasn't necessarily expecting you, who's making hot dogs for dinner, offers you dinner, like, you should be saying no, right? Like, do you take a hot dog or no? You should definitely be saying no.
You should say no.
Yeah.
I don't know why they said yes. I don't know if they just thought they were being rude.
If they said no, they want to be like, no, we fit in. We eat hot dogs too for dinner. Like, just everything that they did. And then also, not to like loop back to this so much, but even when Whitney was outside and talking about all the things that they're going to fix up, and Abshir was saying, oh, like, it's still going to be free rent, right? And he wanted it in writing.
Yeah.
And Whitney was like, oh, I don't deal with that sort of thing. Like, she's never had to worry about a contract, make sure something wasn't like, she just so doesn't understand their world. And it's so apparent. But, you know, I think we have like a very clear understanding of her character right now. So another example, we already know.
Though I will say, like, now I'm like, we've been beaten down so hard with Whitney's character. And I'm kind of hoping that we get a curveball in the next episode.
Yeah, I'd love to see something new, something different. Like we kind of have this picture of who they are. I'd love to learn a little bit more about a different character or dive into another storyline.
Yeah, I would love to see the artist come back too, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, because apparently they need someone for their show if it does take off, although they might have to refilm and make adjustments based on that focus group.
Yeah.
Do you have the description of the episode?
I do. It's good news for the seagulls is dampened by tensions in the neighborhood.
Okay, good news.
We'll see what it is. I'm worried the tensions are having to do with Barrier Coffee and the jean shop, and then that's how our boy Fernando gets in a little bit of trouble.
No. Okay, what like good news would be the show picks up?
Yeah. Or it's like a little time jump and Whitney's pregnant again.
Yeah, I feel like those are the only things that right now would be good news for them that we've been set up to see as their goals and their aspirations.
Yeah, something about Whitney's designs of the houses, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely some stuff there.
Yeah.
Well, if you enjoyed the episode, please give us a follow on all of our social media. We are at NathanForUsPod on Instagram, at NathanForUsPodcast on TikTok. You can send us a voicemail at speakpipe.com/NathanForUsPodcast and subscribe on YouTube. We would love to see more subscribers. And we'll be back next week to talk about Under the Big Tree.
This has been Kelly and Megan on your side.